Hey guys, Chris from Provo Beast Audio Installation, and in today's video we're going to be installing a backup camera on this Honda CRV. Let's get started. Now this backup camera that we're going to be installing will be paired to this pre-existing aftermarket radio that's already been installed in the dash. Now we don't have footage of installing this aftermarket radio. However, we will link in the description all the parts used for an aftermarket radio in the event you're looking to get that upgraded at the same time as installing your camera. So let's head over to the bench to show you the camera that we're using today. Alright, so here at the bench, the camera that we're going with, it's just a basic license plate mountable camera, and we can link it down in the description here for you in case you want to pick one of these up. It's tricky on these CRVs just because the license plate is off-center, and generally speaking you have a cover for the tire which is off-center to the other side, and so it's really you can't really win in terms of getting a camera with a perfect backup angle. So what we're going to do is do our best by angling this camera as much as we can to focus on the center of the back of the vehicle. So this camera here, it's a nice camera. Essentially here, this camera has a video output and a power plug. Here's your power harness for the camera. This is what's going to supply the camera power, whether we connect that directly to the reverse light or we just connect this to an accessory source so it's on when the key is on. And then finally we have a video harness. One end here will plug into the output of the camera, where the other end will plug into the video input on the back of the radio. Now along with that video wire we have these little red wires. It just runs in parallel with our video wire. This could be used for the accessory wire, could be used as a trigger wire. It's really up to you and how you want to do it for your install today. So the first thing that we need to do is prepare our harness, and then what we're going to do is head over to the car and get this mounted in the license plate area. So what we're going to need to do is mount our license plate camera here, but we'll need to find access through the door skin into the interior here. Now if you notice, there's already a grommet with pre-existing wiring, which is probably a safe location for us to do the same. So what we're going to do is pull this on out, see if we can put a little slit in it and pass our own wire through along with the factory wire. So we mounted our camera, we fed the wire up and through, and you can kind of see that hole there, that passage. And that's where it came out. Now we put a little slit using a razor edge to feed our wires through, and we put a zip tie on there. And this is where we're at. Now at this point in time, we're gonna follow this factory loom, work our way through, and we have to go through this door grommet because our wiring has to pass through into the body of the car. So what we're going to do is start taking this apart. We'll have to take apart this panel on the receiving end so we can start fishing that through. Once we're inside the car, we can start working our way forward towards the aftermarket radio. So what I've done here is I've just popped both sides of the grommet out. Now this end does have a plug, but it's okay because it's back behind the seal. So we don't have to go through that plug or manipulate that plug in any way. What we need to do is fish our video wire through here. We're going to go and prepare a wire to start pulling it through that grommet. Alright, so we are preparing now our wiring before we start running it through the grommet. So we're going to show you what wire is going to go where. So we're going to use this guy as a trigger wire. We want this wire to trigger the radio. So on the other end, obviously one end, it's going to plug into the camera. The other RC end is going to plug into the camera input on the back of the radio. And that little red wire that comes off that is going to go to the trigger wire, because it's going to tell the radio when to go reverse when the vehicle is backing up. Now the way that we're going to do that is this other end needs to go to the positive wire on a reverse light. Now reverse lights are right here. So usually there's a positive and a negative wire here, and we need to connect that to the positive. So we'll need to extend this wire, which we've gotten some extra red wire to do so, but that's going to be our plan, to extend that wire to the positive wire of the reverse light. Now, camera power and ground. You can either also connect your camera power just to the reverse light, positive and negative, or if your radio has the feature to view the camera when not in reverse, that's also an option as well. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna connect this to accessory power, and it just so happens that by that reverse light, we also have a power socket, which will have a power and ground on accessory. So while we're in here working on our light, we're gonna tap into this power socket for positive, negative as well. All right, so we started making our connections. We got everything hooked up, starting to get it zip tied. So first thing, power and ground for the camera from that power harness, the black one here. Ground needs to go to any ground of the car that's nice and clean. I actually found a ground right here. Now you can put a ring terminal on and go directly there, or you can solder on like we did. We're just gonna wrap it in some electrical tape. We just cut it short, doesn't need to be super long. And then the other end, that is a lot longer. Remember, this needs to be extended to go to the power socket positive that we showed you before. So we're gonna add a little bit more wire to it, and we have some yellow wire that we're gonna connect onto. And then for the trigger wire, remember our RCA red wire that comes off, this needs to go to the positive wire in the reverse light. So we're gonna run that through along as well, and we're gonna go to the positive wire of this light. That's all kind of in the same area. So we're gonna have our extended red wire, which is our trigger, and then we'll extend this as yellow wire as our power wire for the camera. Now we'll also probably run our video wire with this all, just so we can bundle it all together through across here, and then we're gonna go straight forward. What I did with this grommet here is I pulled it out as far as I can, then I compressed it, and I can touch my fingers from one side to the other really easily. So what I did is I got my video wire and just pushed it in without even using a fish of any kind, and I pushed it all the way to until I could fill it with my other hand, and I grabbed it and pulled it on through. So again, compress your grommet as much as you can so you can fish your wire through. And once that's on through, we're gonna fish the rest of our wiring through with it. Alright, so this is the grommet we need to pass through our red wire to connect to the power wire on our reverse line. It looks like it's green with a black stripe. There is the wire that we'll need to tap into. This is going to be your trigger wire for our radio. Alright, so we went and soldered on to that green with a black stripe. That's our positive wire for our trigger wire, so that's good. We'll tape that up, some electrical tape. Now same thing, we popped our cigarette socket out, cigarette lighter power socket out, and that white wire is going to be an accessory wire, and we're going to solder onto that and wrap it in electrical tape as well. So those are our two extra connections. After that, we started fishing our video wire up underneath the panel. It comes out there. We're going to go through there along the kick panels on the driver's side all the way to the radio. Let's quickly now reassemble our back catch. We're all done here. So what we've done is we just continue to tuck it. So we put our seat down, pull this on back. We just continue to tuck it up and around the edge. You can actually pull the carpet up. We tucked it. Now you can pull panels all the way off, that's up to you, but this gauge is so small that you can actually just tuck it up underneath the panel. So we just follow this edge down along, came down here, follow along, up underneath this panel. We're at about this point. We're going to continue to move forward, just tucking it up underneath the panel. All right, so we continue along. Now we did pop this one off just so we can get it up underneath the carpet. It's just held on with clips, everything here. And then we followed the factory loop underneath the carpet and we came out right there. Now we need to get the radio out so we can fish this wire up into the dash cavity to make our connections back behind the radio. All right, so at this point we need to connect our wiring to the aftermarket radio, but in order for us to fish it up through the dash, we got to get the radio out so we have space to run our wiring. So first and foremost, this guy needs to come on out. So there's two screws that are up underneath this dash bezel. Let's go ahead and remove those. It looks like they are a Phillips. All right, so with the radio just out of the way, we're going to carefully just lay it here, and it gives us the access now to fish our wire up into the dash cavity. All right, so we fed our RCA and mic up into the dash. Now we just need to make our connection for our backup camera. We need to plug our video wire into the camera input in the back of the radio, and then the reverse gear trigger wire we need to hook into the reverse gear trigger wire of the radio. So it depends on the color. This one could be purple and white, it could be a pink and orange. It just kind of depends. Always look up what color the manufacturer recommends as the reverse trigger wire. We actually ran into a little bit of a problem as we got this radio out. It's missing its accessory harness, so we actually can't test the camera here, but we do have a secondary screen ready to go, so we can show you that it works. We'll just have to order that in, but we can button up the dash for now, but it shouldn't affect you in your install. This is a radio we didn't install, so unfortunately we don't have the harness in stock or anything there, so we'll have to order that in and have the customer come a second day. With the wire connected, it should still cycle over even though there won't be an image, and then we'll show you what the image looks like on our secondary screen. So let's go ahead and put the key in the ignition. All right, so if we put it in reverse, so it cycles over to the reverse mode, but there's no camera signal, right, because we don't have our harness. But if it were to be plugged in, here is our screen, secondary screen, and it's actually looking great. We need to adjust our camera a little bit, but everything is operating properly. We're actually seeing what it looks like. So we just have to order that harness in to plug it into our aftermarket radio, but the trigger is working, our accessory wire is working, all our connections in the back are working. So that is good news. We're gonna go ahead and get the radio all reassembled. Okay, radio is back in. Like I said, we're going to put it in reverse, but again, we're not going to get a signal because we're missing our accessory harness on our radio, but we showed you on our little test screen that all is working perfectly. We just need to get that harness in stock and hook it up for the customer. But other than that, got the dash kit all back in. That's about it for this video. Like I said, we'll link all the parts that we use down in the description, including the aftermarket one for the radio in the event you're looking to do a radio and the backup camera at the same time. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. We post great content on the channel all the time, and we'll see you in the next video.